My name's Tom Watson and I'm the governing governor of Swinford Hall Prison. I joined the prison service as a prison officer in 1979, so that's 31 years ago at Stafford Prison, and I had 11 postings, I think, as I was thinking, over those 30 odd years. Healthcare's changed in many ways over the years. I can remember, it doesn't feel many years ago, that the governor was in charge of healthcare directly. The prison service employed the healthcare staff, and really it was an in-house business. The role of governing governor, it's all-encompassing. I feel as though I'm responsible for absolutely everything in the prison, and whilst I personally can't be responsible for those things, then I accept that the responsibility in some form or another comes to my door. So, for example, in terms of healthcare, I recognise that the PCT deliver the healthcare, and I rely on the expertise of the PCT, but I feel as though I'm the key stakeholder, if that's the right term to use, and if I wasn't happy with that, then I think I've got a responsibility to try and do something about that. So I'm sort of working in partnership with the PCT, but I think the responsibility as the governor, it can't be taken away by anybody else, although others share parts of that responsibility. The biggest myth, I think, builds on from that perception about it being a secret world. I think the thing that I find hardest to overcome are the stereotypical views. People seem to think that all prison staff fit a certain stereotype and all prisoners fit a certain stereotype. And in actual fact, the staff come from a hugely diverse range of backgrounds. We've got people who are very young in service, young in life if you like, and people who are much more experienced. I think you need strength of character. I think you need resilience. And then within that, if I was sort of choosing the workforce, then I would want people with a hugely different range of skills. There's a stereotype that seems to be portrayed, and I guess I would have subscribed to that before I joined the prison service, but actually once you're there, you realise that the prisons, like the staff, are just really a window on society. They're very diverse, they've got a huge range of different needs and issues, and I think the only thing they've got in common is that they're in prison. So I think we all share that thing, that's the only thing. But there seems to be this perception that we all fit into this little box that makes us all exactly the same. Prison officers are all 7 foot tall and, you know, tattoos and you know, the negatives of that, and prisoners likewise. But it's not, it's much more of a real society, if you like. I think the importance of healthcare is that you have to remember that we're a total community. So we have to provide absolutely everything that a human being needs. And if we can't provide it on site, then we need to have access to it. And through that, one of the obvious things is healthcare, because people have health needs and their well-being and so on. Many prisoners come from a background where perhaps their personal care, in whatever form you would describe that, hasn't always been at its best. So they have health issues, there's mental health issues, there's day-to-day health issues, and all the normal issues that you see in society. So I think the importance of healthcare for us is to be able to properly deal with those issues, and then we can then move on, or alongside that, work with the prisoner for rehabilitation purposes and those sort of things. But experience tells me he's unlikely to be able to focus on getting his life back on track if he's got a health need that's not been met. And in terms of healthcare, we bring in healthcare services from the NHS so that we can provide the same level of care and the quality of care that you get outside in the community as inside. The tensions with that are that we've had to learn how to work in partnership. The NHS and Prison Service, two huge organisations, very different cultures, and just how we talk to each other, I think, has been something we've had to learn over that time. Where's the power and all of those sort of things. I think we've come through that. I think we are in partnership now. I think we understand that we each bring something different to the table. I bring my knowledge of prison work and the wider aspects, and the healthcare services bring the specialist knowledge about caring for patients, providing that care and so on. My first piece of advice would be honest with yourself and be honest with the reasons that you want to do that. Secondly, accept that it's a difficult environment. It's usually quite calm and quite structured, and we couldn't do it if it wasn't. But it has the potential for things to go quite badly wrong and quite serious, and so you will be exposed to things in life that general members of the public wouldn't be. violence. You can't deny the fact there's always the risk of violence, for example. But I've often said that if you're in a prison and you're confronted with a difficult situation, there are means to get assistance. If you're out in the streets and you're confronted with violence, it's quite likely that assistance is some way off. So I often think it's actually perhaps almost a safer environment because we're structured and organised to deal with those sort of things. I'm saying these are my prisoners, your patients, if that's the right way to put it, and together we need to identify the right things. I think most of